Oh, I meant to
Click
see
on
what
number
episode number this was
actual.
going to be before I clicked record, but oh well, whatever.
Episode number
Yeah,
question mark.
yep. I really don't know. I was supposed to do that. I told myself I was going to do that, but all right. So we talked around. Julie, we talked about a couple of things that we were going to talk about tonight, and this goes to further support how we are not scripted. Um, we're lucky if we even have notes going into our
True.
chats. But
We don't.
what caught my attention was the chat earlier or yesterday and today with Caleb's wife expressing interest in DMing. And as I'm sure you saw, I said, "Oh, that'd be great for her to come on and talk with us because we're more than happy to geek out with her and talk about DMing D&D." And then, of course, with you having to
Mm.
run Curse of Strahd for a year now, um, to put in your 2 cents on that, since that's what she sounds like she might be interested in running.
Yeah.
All right, let me go
It,
back.
it's
What?
it's a difficult campaign, my dude. It was the very first actual book campaign made after 2014 rules were established. So it was the very first campaign out of fourth edition, which everyone hated. So I feel like it still kind of lives in fourth edition a little bit because it's so sandbox and awful.
Well, what I was thinking about that, and not Curse of Strahd specifically, and we've kind of brushed upon this topic before, but how
Modules specifically.
how, module versus, or like I guess like a 1E5E, and I'm not trying to do the whole bashing of editions, but how no, I'm really not. But how like the 1E campaigns, they're so comprehensive, and how for a certainly for an inexperienced DM or a lazy DM, how that can actually contribute to railroading a little bit. Although it may be very subtle and it might be very minor, because I think the a lot of DMs almost feel obligated to really fulfill the campaign as it's written, right? To oh well, the story
um,
says so, therefore I got to nudge them
this
this
book
way or that
says
way, right? Whereas conversely, much of 1E is very kind of sandboxy,
open.
and
Yeah,
it's a little more of an open world
super
kind,
open.
and therefore the players, or it, I think a little, it's more accurate in terms of saying collective storytelling actually in first edition or the older editions, old OSR, than it is in the more modern editions for those kind of reasons.
Very much to the point that how you keep saying on Tuesday how we're pushing the story
Hmm?
and we're giving you that direction and
Yeah.
it's happening organically. And I feel like that probably happens in a lot of homebrews, fifth edition homebrew situations. People who like to make their own homebrews. I do not. I do not have the time for it. I would like to have the time for it. It would be interesting.
Well, but see, you
I'm just
say
bad
that,
at
but
it.
no, see, and 'cause I was thinking about this earlier in terms of prep, right? Because I was thinking about a couple of times now we've chatted with Erica Martin of Elder Martin Publishing, and she primarily as the DM, she primarily runs one shots. I'm not sure what she does as a player, if she does multiple, she has campaign games that she plays in other than mine, or she also plays in one shots alone. But I was thinking that, like the prep that I put in at the onset of a new module versus mid module versus the end, and how it becomes less and less as time progresses. Not because I'm getting tired, but like I've already done all the work. So therefore, like I'm familiar enough with it. The players are kind of making the story go along. I'm kind of along for the ride to kind of just truly guide them through the rest of their process to get to the end. So my prep
Hers
diminishes.
are pre-established because it's Adventure League.
No. Hang on. No, that's not what I'm saying. Well, yeah, yeah. No,
Oh, sorry.
I know what you're saying, but in general, like a one shot, because and you've done this yourself. You run one shot week after week after week. Like if you want to run that well, you need to prep like in full every friggin' week, as opposed to like what I'm saying, how I have less and less prep, weekly prep over time, because the bulk of the prep happens early on. And
I've gotten that way with Strahd because I kind of know they're stuck in a town right now, and I know what they're doing in town. I know what my end goal is for that town. So all I have to do is play the seesaw game a little bit with them, go back and forth with them a little bit, nudge them in the correct little directions that I want them to go in, breadcrumb a little bit, and so I kind of don't really have to prep as much as I did, mostly because there's like zero combat, like negative zero combat
You
in
know,
that town.
and
But
and you commented a second ago how you like having that full campaign written out for you, right? That story written out for you because it's easier. You don't have to do the whole world building, da, da, da. But I argue that it's easier to
plot
not have
holes.
it written out, have it all pre-done, and there's different types of DMs or styles of DMs, levels of DMs, whatever you want to call it. And we've joked about that before. Like, hey, what level of DM are you? Are you the guy who just jots down a one note on a napkin at lunch and runs the game that night, or do you have every single detail laid out? So I think with the campaign, like the campaign books that we're talking about in fifth edition, um, greater vulnerabilities to railroad. I think it makes it a little easier for the DM in the sense that it's already there for you. You just need to kind of read over it. It pulls away from the creativity and agency of the DM, but I think in a way it makes it harder because it involves all that much more prep. Whereas for the OSR, where it's more sandboxy, you can kind of just roll with it. It's easier to roll with the punches and just let it happen as it happens. Now, maybe that's just my style of DMing, and I haven't been exposed to enough other DMs' styles in OSR. I don't know.
A true sandbox for a modular campaign, modular being one that has a big, pretty published book. If you sandbox it too bad, then the players go in different
Correct.
directions, or
Correct.
they
Yeah.
don't see the entire map
Yeah.
and they miss entire plot points, and then it makes plot holes.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. A true sandbox, and you and Eric and I talked about this briefly as well. A true
True
sandbox,
sandboxes are bad.
it doesn't work. It just doesn't work
No, it doesn't.
because
No.
that'd be like dropping someone in the middle of a 100,000 acre forest and say, "Have fun," and they have.
Yeah, see you later.
Yep, they don't know which way is north or south. They don't have any objective. They don't have any goal. They have nothing to go on.
So
So a true
Strahd has
sandbox
like
doesn't work.
three missions. Yeah, Strahd has like three missions in the beginning, and then nothing. And then nothing. You could drop Irina off at the gates of Valaki and go somewhere else if you wanted to. You don't have to stay there. Just leave.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that's okay, right? Because there are some modules or campaigns that are
Oh,
designed
excuse
in
me.
such a fashion where you don't have to finish it. You can use that as a stepping stone or only play a portion of it. And I think, at least making reference
Well,
to first
Phandelver is
edition,
like that.
that some of those modules are a series, L1, L2, L3. Like
Hmm.
Saltmarsh, right? So in 5e, they put it all together in one big campaign. But in first
Ghost of
edition, those are
Saltmarsh, yeah.
three separate modules, and they can be played independently of each other, or they can be played in series. So
I think Ravenloft is also multiple series.
I believe so. I believe. Um, so you don't have to do the whole thing if you don't want.
Hmm. Hmm. I feel like the people who want to like be creative. You talk about like DM agency. People who want to be creative and have that agency, I think homebrew games. I think those are your homebrewers. I don't think they buy. I think they buy the books, they put them on the shelf, and they never look at them ever again. And they make like what my player Jules is the crazy homebrewer. And he was talking about a Twilight Zone campaign. So he
Hmm.
has formulated an entire Twilight Zone campaign that he's playing at school, which is super cool. And it's something out of the box that you would never think of, um, or people probably have. But in either direction, he has homebrewed it from scratch. So I think there's like a I feel like in like older editions and people who play older editions, it's kind of more balanced. Whereas in like fifth edition, it's black or white. There's either people who don't want to make anything and use the book, and there's people who want to make everything and don't use any books.
Yeah, I'm inclined to
Yeah,
agree with that. I mean, I don't know a lot about 5e, but
bad.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with that. And again, my exposure to the 5e world is pretty limited, but I see enough in some of the discords and on the social medias, plural, I guess,
Plural.
that like I agree, like that's the feel that I get. people will say
Mm.
homebrew, and of course homebrew house rule, another conversation. But they're creating their own module, their own adventure. We'll call it that. They're creating their own adventure within a particular world, which they may or may not even have fleshed out a world,
No.
depending to what degree they want to
Genre.
go. Right, a genre, and they just say, you know what, we're going to use the D&D Fifth Edition mechanics in this game. Some of
Right.
those homebrew
Oh, come on, D&D.
adventures, may be true to D&D, the true heart of D&D. And as we know, a lot of them are not, right? A lot are not, are not, are not, are not. And when I say that in the true spirit of D&D, in terms of like being like a medieval fantasy game, right, with some magic and fantasy and all kinds of weird creatures and stuff, but some of them completely change it, and it's
Oh, yeah.
and it's not like you said, like Twilight Zone, right? But
Yeah.
using D&D mechanics for that. So yeah, I mean, it's listen. What I like about that is it nurtures creativity. Period.
An
Period.
agency.
Right. It nurtures creativity, and it facilitates storytelling. In essence, like public speaking, and there's a lot of value
Creative
to
writing.
that we underestimate, and that's why I think D&D, well, role playing games are great for adolescents and teens. It really is
Hmm.
because it does
Hmm.
help build skills.
I have three under 20 at my table.
Yeah, yeah, you had that young kid now, that the young boy for a
Lincoln.
little while now.
Yeah, Lincoln's been hanging out. Lincoln is Peyton's age. He's 16. And I play with Peyton and his friends. We have a Saturday campaign. They're goobers and they talk about silly stuff and they meme at my table. But so I have to sit there and like walk away and get a snack while they're memeing at my table.
And one of my guys on Friday night, he and I were talking last week about some of the skills that can be, that you gain, the valuable skills you gain from role playing. And I was making reference to the young kid that we have playing on my Friday night game, right? He's, I don't know, 13 years old.
He's little. Yeah.
And in game during one session, one of the other characters was sitting down at the tavern having a conversation with an NPC, another patron at the bar. And the boy's character, like, he wanted to get involved in the conversation. I think I'm not sure more so as the player or as the character, but I think as the character he wanted to be involved. And his character walked over there in the middle of the conversation, like walked up to the table and just said, "Hi," or like, "Hi, I'm so and so." And the
Hi.
NPC is like,
Just wanted to
yeah,
introduce
like, just
myself.
kind of a little baffled, a little pause, like, "Yeah, hi,"
Eh?
and kind of brushed him off. And the guy I was talking to the other night about it is like, "Yeah, well, that's a valuable life lesson skills learned without having to actually endure that in real life." You
Oh,
know?
right. Embarrass yourself in real
Right.
life. Go up to people
Yeah.
talking, say hi, and then
And
get brushed
I
off.
think though that the player didn't really realize the social, I don't want to say awkwardness, the social rule that he broke.
Expectations? Yeah.
Etiquette. Thank you.
Etiquette.
The social etiquette that he broke in behaving and approaching a closed conversation in such a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be learned from role playing games.
I like it when people put like their D&D knowledge and history on their resume. I like those. Well, no, but I mean, some of them are really good. Some of them are like facilitating teamwork through like all that kind of jazz. Like some of them are really good, and I'm like, yeah, I do that at my table. Yeah, me.
All right, so kind of tying into campaigns and such, one of our topics we said we were interested in talking about.
Oh, Corey's.
I think it was his. Let me see.
Yeah.
Uh,
What to do with a very long
yes, yes, yes,
campaign,
yes,
much like
yes.
Curse of Strahd.
Yep. Um, so yeah, Curse of Strahd is a long one. Anyone who plays it tells you it's at least if you do it super fast, it's supposed to be like a year. The average seems to be like a year and a half to two, and if you're really slow, I've heard people going as long as 3 years or so with it, which is a pretty long time for a campaign or for one adventure, right? That's a long time. Now, comparatively,
There were longer campaigns, but
but like even for us playing first edition on Tuesday nights, we were in that module for about a year, give or take.
Yeah,
you know.
close to it.
So then, so while it's that one is done, right? Close the chapter, we start the next, but we're still kind of playing through. So what do you do to kind of break that up? And towards the end, like the last few weeks, like I kept saying it in our Discord chat, I was like, fatigue, fatigue, fatigue. Like we're getting tired. It's time to be done with this game. We need a break. And
Distraction.
that's part of the reason why. And I know that, like I knew that I did. Um, Not only time to prep for the next, but like I just need to take a little bit of break from that same game for the past year. So,
Ever.
right now we're taking a couple weeks off. So, first thing you can do in a long campaign is somewhere
Take a
you
break.
just need to take a break. You need to take a break
Yeah.
for
So
a
this
week, two
week,
weeks,
and you
3 weeks,
probably
a month,
saw it.
whatever it is. You need to take a break, and that doesn't mean, oh, I'm not going to play D&D with these guys. I'm going to go play D&D over here instead. Like, just take a break
Oh,
from
yeah,
RPG or for
zero.
D&D altogether for whatever amount of time you feel you need.
On vacation.
So that's number
Um,
one thing, right?
Yeah, you saw it. You probably saw it on the group chat, but we're talking about doing a
Yep.
Thanksgiving one shot because I didn't get to play any Thanksgiving one shots on at my beach
Really?
vacation with my family. I got them to sit down, and then they all got distracted and played it. My uncle, one of my uncles, talked them into gambling, so they all played a game called One Tie All Tie, which is kind of like Yahtzee, but it involves money. So all of them were like, "Oh, gambling!" and they all like ran away, and I was like, "Okay, bye." But we're gonna do a Thanksgiving one shot. But we're also going to try and do when 2024 Eberron comes out. We're gonna do a little Eberron campaign for a couple months, like a little tiny, like 2 or 3 month, like let's play Eberron. Here's this fun little campaign. Oh, we're all different characters, and like take a break from those characters and take a break from the story. Mostly because I mean my group is silly, but Strahd is a very dark campaign. It has very dark themes,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets pretty. And if you play it a certain way, it can get very like draining because the party can lose, the party can lose, the party can lose, the party can lose. Uh, Party members can die, can die, can die, can die, can die, can die, and so
Yes.
continually dying and continually losing starts to break down the party. My players are really fun, and they made their own drama in that all of their characters don't necessarily get along. So I have like party influx, which is on them because they're doing it themselves and they think it's great. Um, but like it can drain on you. Like a darker themed campaign or like a more serious style campaign can definitely like drain on you, and it's nice to take a break physically, take a break. Go on vacation, go hang out with your family, go not do D&D for a day, but also to take a break and maybe change it up and do something fun and silly instead of something dark and serious. A
Do you
different
think
theme.
switching over to a different campaign of like 2 to 3 months is like too long of a shift? Because then you're going to kind of start getting invested in that, and then you're going to say, nope, let's turn back over here now.
No, I'm gonna make it so that it wraps up
Okay.
probably in like 2.5 months. It'll be like a little tiny. It'll be like a long shot,
Okay.
just to get like a taste. Everybody makes a new character. Ooh, fun, silly times. Let's beat up some bad guys. Ooh, fun adventure.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how long does that campaign typically last?
It's gonna be like a homebrew. I'm gonna like homebrew a little campaign.
Using Eberron as the foundation.
Using
Okay.
the newer Eberron as the foundation because it's gonna come out in soon this month, I think.
So,
And so I told them that when Eberron comes out, I would like some time to read the book and then make a little baby campaign, and then we could play the little baby campaign starting in like January.
yeah, I mean, without putting firm numbers on it, and I'm just, as we're talking, I'm just thinking about this. Like, if you know the campaign is going to be long, like you knew going into Curse of Strahd, you're talking a couple of years. So I'm thinking that
Year and
maybe
a half, but for
um,
my group,
if
it'll get me
you,
longer.
if you know it's going to be
My
long,
party of 9.
maybe every 3, 4, 6 months, you take a
Take a
week.
break, play something else.
You take a week, just a week or two, and play something else, or even if it's a one shot, or play a different game altogether. Heck, maybe even a night of board games, just something to kind of break that up, and then you resume, right? Um,
Yeah.
I'm proposing that as like one suggestion or bullet point. The other was the one that you brought up, earlier was, well, we're going to take it. This is a really long campaign, so we're going to take a break for a couple months, and we're going to do something different, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah, a
You know?
longer break.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to be like really gung ho about it. I have a couple players who are like trying to intentionally sunset their characters to play new characters because they're just getting. Well, I've locked them in jail, so I don't blame them for wanting to bring new characters in. I've locked them in prison. But like we've been role playing in prison. Like I haven't been like leaving them out. I've been actually like come on, like play with me, you know? They haven't been just like locked in prison. Okay, never mind, go away. But they have been playing a little bit less than all the other
Hmm.
players that aren't in prison. But I'm trying to get them to like merge back into one party. So it's taking a little while, but neither here nor there. Like Corey's locked in prison. He has already made another character. And so is Sophia. Sophia's locked in prison. She's been the one who's locked in prison the longest. I feel
Okay,
really
but
bad.
if they're creating new characters, are those characters with anticipation of replacement, or are they trying to implement those new
Yes.
characters now?
Well, Corey tried to because he didn't want to get locked in prison and not play, which I feel him. I
Hmm.
wouldn't want to not play either.
Right.
But then he started to play, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Okay.
Because he was gonna like double fist characters for he was gonna play two characters at one time
Right.
at some point in time, and I was like, "No, we're gonna role play. Like, you're gonna have opportunity to play in prison, I promise." And then he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I don't have to double fist characters if you don't want me to."
Yeah, because my thought on that was then at that point,
It becomes
if those characters get out of prison, now you have 20 characters for
11,
your 8 players.
12.
Yeah, yeah.
No
So,
thanks. I'm
but
good.
no. So there's a few other things that we're scratching the surface of, which I don't want us to go into right now. But in terms of like I'll say DMing skills, like how do you manage that when something like that happens, but you want to keep that player involved, you want to hold their attention, and that
Yeah,
kind of dovetails to the thought I had a few minutes ago of how do you know when it's time to take a break? That the campaign, because
burnout.
for some people 9 months is nothing, 12 months is nothing for whatever group that is, right? They're just loving it, they're digging it. The DM is making it real, everyone's having a great time, the game is moving on, it's not dragging, and everyone's having, so you don't need a break. How do you know when you need a
Mhm.
break? So for me, myself, I was getting a little tired, and
It's me first. Me first. Me
And
first.
but one of the things I was observing, and this is some of the challenges between online versus in person. One of the things I was observing was you, and you were not alone. But I was having, as time was progressing towards the last 4 weeks or so, I was having a tougher time holding your engagement. So that
I also felt really bad about Paul, so I also tried to back up a little bit with the invitation of Oz because I don't want to scare Oz away. So I didn't want to engage too heavily because I didn't want to be a main character again. I was like scared.
Well, the whole
I had
Paul
like
the whole
social
Paul
anxiety.
incident. No, come on, the Paul incident was not about you. I think that was about
No, it
Paul.
wasn't.
But
But I still felt bad, and I still like tried to like
so
actively try to like disengage a little bit and try to give everybody like some.
yeah, I mean, it just kind of makes me sigh because it was an unfortunate
Oh,
incident that we're still
good.
a little murky on. But we enjoyed playing with Paul. Love to have him back, but. Um,
Yeah, I feel
for
so
kind of
bad.
like I'll say for his own reasons he left the group unexpectedly. But
Yeah.
no, and I know what you're saying. Like you don't want to draw all the attention to you, but yeah,
I tried to like.
but your level of engagement. Not, but I don't want to. Let me rephrase him. Your level of engagement and your level of attention, I saw was kind of drifting off. And I saw that in you. I saw that a little bit in Caleb from time to time. So I was like, man, I think everyone's getting tired, and of course at that point we already knew we were towards the end. You already killed the big bad evil guy, so in a sense you're done, right? And then we're just trying to tie
Really,
up
we
loose
should have taken
ends.
a break. We should have taken a break between Secret of Bone Hill and Cult of the Reptile God. Between the two,
We
when we
just
did all the burn the house down shenanigans, we should have like taken it there. We shouldn't have gone. Well, and Specularm, I guess, is the midway. It's
right.
not really.
Well,
So I guess now is fine
right.
too,
That's what I
but
was kind of thinking. I was trying to tap a few loose
I feel
ends
like we
there
should have
at
stopped
Orlane.
before we went to Specularum.
Yeah, you think?
That would have been like a more, I wouldn't say natural, but I guess natural. Like we steal the boat. Okay, guys, let's take a couple breaks off. But I think Oz would have raised the same, like, "Hey guys, I just started playing. What's going
Right,
on?"
right, right.
And he
So,
kind of did there, and I feel bad for the guy because he's like, "Oh, we'll play."
I do and I don't. I do because like I understand his point. Like he just joined, he played for like 2 weeks, and now we're saying, oh yeah, we're taking a break. But it's not like we're quitting. It's not like we're all
Well,
just
and we
walking
don't do
away.
it. We don't do it that often.
No, not at all.
It
And
is holiday season. I was gonna be out of town anyway.
right. So like
I was gonna miss a session
the
anyway.
timing on that kind of worked out. It is the holiday season. We know it happens every year. It doesn't matter what group you're in. It happens with
No.
every group. It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
People travel. People visit. So on and so forth, right? So like I even for me, I'm going to be on vacation Christmas week, so I'm not going to be playing on
Yeah,
Tuesday
you're
or
saying
Friday,
that.
because I would be, yeah, that wouldn't go well. So that's another week off.
I have a
So
bunch of
so for
family
us,
birthdays that week.
um, like looking at a calendar,
Like,
if I can, just for there we go. So like we're going to play next
open the
week
calendar.
and the week after.
The
So
ninth,
so we
the
this
16th.
is our second week off of our 2 week off. We're in the second week. We're going to resume next week and play again the following week, which is the 16th. And then we're going to be off again the week after that. That's Christmas week. Then we're going to resume on the 30th and presumably go on through for a while from there. I don't know.
Yeah, so
We'll
9,
see.
16th, take the break for the 23rd. Are we taking a
Yeah,
break for the 30th?
not my intention.
Okay, so
Not my
playing the
intention.
30th. That's New Year's Eve.
No, New Year's Eve is the 31st.
Oh, it's Wednesday, the
Yeah,
31st.
yeah,
Okay, and then we'll play the 6th and so on
and
and
yeah,
so
yeah, and
forth
so on and so
because
forth. Yeah,
January doesn't really have anything
yeah.
going on in it.
And I don't think I have anything
And
going on.
then, ooh, Valentine's Day is a Saturday. That's great. Yeah, there isn't really isn't. We should just be smooth sailing
Yeah,
for a little
for a
while
while. Yeah. So
after we get through the holiday,
so
which is what happened last year.
and that when do you take a break, right? That's half of our conversation. Not do you take one? Do you not take one? When do you take it, right? So I think intermission, so to speak, in between if you're finish one campaign, one module before you go to the next. I don't care if that was only 3 months long. Take a week off.
Yeah,
I really do suggest that. Take a week off, 2 weeks. I think the time you take a break should be kind of proportional to how long you had played for, right? If you only played for 2 months, you're not going to take 3 weeks off. Okay, and because
that's great.
we're on
2-to-1 ratio.
we're on the scale or the assumption that you're playing weekly.
Yeah, every
So
week, not every other
yeah,
week.
every week. But if you played for 9 months, then yeah, maybe you need to take a couple weeks off and not just one.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to take 2 or 3 off. So I think that's kind of proportional. Obviously, each group is different, but speaking from
My
my
group
and
brought
our
it to my
experience,
attention. I didn't want it. I didn't want to take the break. I didn't offer to take the break. My group offered. My group was like, "Hey, can we maybe play something else?" Because I think a lot of it was everybody was talking about like making all these characters and not being able to play them, like all these backups, all these secondaries, and I guess them making characters, they're like,
yeah.
other
Now
campaign.
so, how do you know when to take a break? Well, that right there is a big red flag, right? I mean, that if the players say, "Hey, we want to take a break," then
Yeah.
it's time to take a
Well,
break.
yeah,
Whether that
yeah.
be they're just getting bored, or maybe they just want to, they're having a good time, but they want to take a break. It's intermission,
Yeah,
it's
I think it's
halftime.
that one.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
do
think they've
too.
been stuck in this one town, following this one little lead over and over and over and over and over and over, and they've been locked in prison. So I think, like for them, the story isn't as exciting as it was, or it's not as crazy as it was. It's not everything hasn't like been exploding in their face like it's been. It's kind of this like mellower kind of scenario, this kind of who done it. And I think they're just getting a little sick of it.
Yeah.
And I think they need a little bit more of an adventure kickstart,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
little
Yeah.
break to beat some shit up.
Which means so that means you as the DM, you need to choose your one shot kind of wisely, right? You want it to be kind of more a little action packed, a little exciting, something that might get the
Maybe a little
juices
less
flowing
role
again,
play.
yeah,
Yeah.
or not so deep and dark and very kind of emotional, something very
Yeah.
lighthearted,
And
you
silly
know,
and fun.
yeah.
Mhm.
Which I know generally you're up that's right up your alley for one shots, but you
Yeah,
know,
I usually do silly one
but you know
shots.
that's
But that's because
that's
I'm
what you need.
playing
That's what you
serious
need,
ass campaign. Yeah.
right? So let's see. Hmm. All right. So how else do you know when it's time?
Attention. I guess like what you hinted at before with me, that my attention was waning, or that me and Rustin's attention were waning, that we weren't as participating
Hmm.
as we were before, making sure that everyone's participating the right levels.
Now you had said that you thought it would have been better for us to break, like when you killed the big bad evil guy and made it back to Orlane, back to the village, might have been a good stopping point. Or hey, we're
Well, no,
done with
like
our loose
tied up all the
ends,
loose ends.
and
Yeah.
let's and then loose ends are tied up. Let's take a break, as opposed to tie up loose ends, go to the next city, and then take a break.
Yeah.
I don't think I disagree with that. I
Okay.
think that may
It
have
seemed
been
a little
better,
more organic.
but
Yeah.
I think though that I might have been kind of pushed in that direction in part because we had a changing of players
Oh yeah,
and
and Artie
and
and
Artie kind of
Oz
coming in. So it's kind of that whole whatever past 4 weeks that we played was
reintroduced
really
everybody.
kind of weird. It was really player dynamic.
Yeah, transitional.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and that
I think
happened when you finish Saltmarsh.
so. Yeah, it's right because it's funny you say that because that was a transition time too on Fridays because
Yeah.
essentially Artie left after that and now everyone's become very transient as players to the point
Yeah, it's
where
weird.
I actually considered scrapping Friday night and
Fridays.
said
Oh
I will
no.
go find myself a game to play in somewhere on Fridays. But my wife is returning, and I know she's interested in playing, so I'm going to kind of keep it going for what I can, unless I can unless I can spark her interest to try 5e, in which case I'll find a
Yeah.
5e game somewhere for us to
Ba,
try.
ba, ba.
So, so we'll see. And I only say that not because I don't enjoy Friday night, but because they're so I don't have a consistent group, and half the time
No.
I'm canceling every week. Half every other week I'm canceling because I don't have enough players.
You also don't have a lot of engagement on your, well, and not all your players use Discord. And I
Well,
think that's a big part of it, is that you guys should move to a solid, let's make a group, a text chat,
oh
and
no,
everybody be on the same text chat.
we do. We have that.
Okay, good, good,
We
good, good,
do.
good. I was about to say, I feel like that's part of the problem, is everybody talking all on different platforms. Because that was a problem with me when I had 9 million people show up and I didn't know who was showing up, because people wouldn't text me on Facebook or Messenger or on
Yep.
Discord or via an actual text message, and I wouldn't know a solid number.
Yeah. So pertaining to that, when I was finding players, searching for players, my primary venue for that was Facebook. And I would
Me too.
make the initial connection on Facebook through a Facebook group, move on to Facebook
The
chat,
local page.
right?
Yeah.
And we chat in Facebook Messenger they call it, right? And then I said, okay, great. What's your Discord? And once we connect on Discord, I said disregard Facebook Messenger. We're
Messenger.
talking about D
Yeah.
and D. This is where we talk about it here on Discord.
Yeah,
So
you're better than I am about organizing your chat threads. Mine's a
to
mess.
the point where I will push someone's message from one text channel to another, and I'll delete it over there because it doesn't fit there.
Yeah,
Let's move it over here. This is where
keep it
this conversation
organized.
should be happening. But but yeah. So because you're right. Because if I'm texting you with you like my cell phone texting, like phone number to phone number, and then I'm Discord chat with you, and then I'm also Facebook messaging.
About a
That's too
different
many places
conversation,
all
about a
over the
different
place.
conversation, about a
You
different
know, and
conversation.
that's three different conversations with the same
Oh, it's
person,
bad.
but it's all the same conversation, and then you got to piece it all. No. That's too much. That's too much.
I pretend like they're separate conversations with the same person.
But what I will
Parallel
say though,
universe.
pertaining to your reference to Discord, the Discord server for the game store that we play at.
I have no control over,
No,
which
no,
is
no.
why mine's a mess.
The 5e, excuse me, the 5e, the D&D chat on that Discord server has dwindled over the past 3 or 4 months. It used to be so
Yours
much more.
specifically or
No,
in
just
general?
in general. Um,
Because I used to use the general chat. I didn't have my own separate like folder.
no, no, no,
I
no,
used
no,
to
no,
just
no.
spam everything in the general chat.
No, no. What I'm saying is, like, even in the D&D 1e, the D&D 5e, the sub channel of Curse of Vamp Daddy, right? All that stuff.
That's fine.
The overall D&D chatter has declined, I think, over the past several months. It used to
Yeah,
be
and I think a
all the
lot
time. It
of
used to be
that
so much more
is
active.
yeah, and I think a lot of that is everyone's kind of settled now. Whereas before, everyone was kind of up in the air. You know, everyone was up in the air, chit chatting, talking away, and now everyone's kind of settled a little bit. Also, Artie isn't as active on it as he used to be. He used to like post memes and
Yeah,
social media and
he
shit.
was, and you read my mind on that because I was thinking, yeah, Artie's not
Yeah,
as
big
active. He
driving.
was a big
Yeah.
driving force in all that chatter. Yeah, and it kind of saddens me
That's because he liked all the memes and
because
stuff.
oh yeah, he was big on that
Silly
because
shit.
much of the time when he would talk it up, it was daytime. In between work or at lunch break or something, it wasn't like after hours. So I'm not sure why that's even declined for him. I can't believe that he's losing spirit in the game because he's still active enough and he's playing on Tuesdays that that I'm aware of. And maybe another time too. But so like I know his heart is still there. I'm just not sure why he's not as active. I mean I'll be direct. I mean I'll just call him out on it and ask him. But
I think it's family work
well,
family life
yeah,
balance.
yeah, I get that, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Much of his chatter was during the daytime when it wasn't family time.
Yeah, he was at work. Maybe he
Yeah,
got in trouble at work.
yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
He
So,
got caught using the computer at work.
well, I haven't heard of any bad guys getting away. So it's not because of that.
That's
It's not
funny.
because of
Maybe
that.
he's just yeah, just generally busier. But yeah, I agree. And a lot of like James's people have like James had a large table. He had like 12 players for his
Oh
every other
shit.
Saturday. And then a lot of them like didn't play, so they're just hanging out. And I guess while they were hanging out, they would like post stuff on the Discord or whatever. And then James had like a big like career move and like a lot of like personal stuff, and he took a bunch of vacations. So I think they've quieted down for that reason too. They
Is he
might have moved to a private chat. They
okay?
might just
I
have a
was gonna say,
private
is
chat
he still
going.
playing?
I'm pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure they're meeting every other Saturday. Like I said, because of the holidays, maybe they just take more extended breaks because of the kids. Because he has two little kids in his group.
Oh, and his girl. I thought you were saying he had two kids himself.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
He's single.
Well, that doesn't mean he doesn't have kids.
True. Not that I know of.
Not that he knows of.
He'll probably think that's funny.
All right, so I think I don't know. I think we're kind of dying here on this topic,
Tangenting.
but no, I mean, the bottom line is if you're running a long time, you need to take a break.
Pacing. Yeah,
You know,
pacing's just a big
because
thing.
they're right. The pacing of the can this pacing of
Overall,
your individual session, right? There's
yeah,
pacing of the campaign as a whole. And we scratched on a lot of different things here in the past 20 minutes in terms of DMing skills and style and stuff. But there does come a time we need to take a break. And at the very least, you want to take a
yeah.
break in between your campaigns or your modules,
Burnout.
a couple weeks or something. Um, Now, when I say take a break, that means take a break. Like, don't play D&D. It's one thing to sit there and like maybe thumb through a book or watch a YouTube, videos or whatever, but don't play. And I say that, Julie,
Let's
is
do a
because
podcast
when you took a break in between Mind of
for my
Phandelver and
birthday.
Curse of Strahd for a month, you played for the entire month and you ran one shots and all this other stuff. So,
Yeah, I
like,
did.
is it really? Take a break is my suggestion to DMs. Just take a break. It's okay. D and
Yeah.
D will be there. You're not going to miss out on anything.
Wesley gets mad at me.
So Um, I so the,
My every other Saturday group hasn't met in a long, long time, but that's scheduling issues. We're trying to get everybody together for the finale, and we've just been like button head on scheduling, and we're finally getting together on the 6th. So I'm
oh,
excited for
this
that.
coming Saturday.
Yeah, Mark's gonna buy pizza. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since he came to one session for 1E,
I
made a
think he was
character,
confused,
and that was it, and he was
so
out.
confused. Well, he's normally busy on Fridays. I
But
think he works like a 9 to 5.
he couldn't be but so confused. He had the books.
9 to 6. Well, not confused as in like mechanically confused. I think he was just like story confused and character confused.
Oh, I can
Maybe
relate to that.
generalized. Yeah,
When,
generalized.
when I
Like,
hopped into Curse of Straw like 6 months in for one night, and I had no friggin' idea what was going on, and I was like, oh my god, I can never do this again.
like no, stop, please.
Oh my god, yeah.
My
So
whole table is really silly.
you got to take
Poor
breaks,
Lincoln. Lincoln caught
because
on very
you know
quick.
we hear about it from time to time, and I haven't heard about it in a while. But the term DM burnout, right? Like
Damn burnout.
it's a real thing.
Party
You
burnout
get burned out,
as well.
and
Yeah.
it's similar to, and I've raised this question, like I would raise this question to a professional DM, and I use air quotes because some people think they are, but to professional DMs or almost any profession. So, uh, at what point does it change from hobby to work, and
Oh
at what
dear.
point does it then become, man, I used to play for the game because I liked it. Now I'm playing because it's my job and it's work, right? So
Yeah.
I brought that up recently with, I was speaking to
Erica.
a pastor, not my pastor, a pastor.
Oh,
And I'm like, at what point, does it kind of challenge your, I guess, like, I don't want to challenge your faith, but
ethical.
yeah,
Ethical
because
drive.
your faith now becomes your job. You're pastoring,
Yeah.
you're running the church, and it's
Well, that's
work.
true for hobbies too. And
Well,
and a lot of my
that's what
cousins,
I'm saying, right? So then like it becomes
yeah,
blurred almost, becomes very gray versus the black and white, and and that's the DM
a lot of
burnout,
my
you know?
family, yeah, a lot of my family pushes me to do all of my arts and crafts and my costuming and stuff like that for money. They're like, "Why don't you put this on Etsy? Why don't you do stuff on the side? Why don't you
Hmm.
do this?" I'm like, "Well, because it's a hobby and it's for me and it's not a job. Because
Right,
then I'd hate it.
right.
Then I'd have a
Yeah,
timeline and then I'd hate it.
and I was thinking that
It's for me to enjoy in
I
my own
spoke with
time."
Erica a little bit the other night after our game because one of the girls expressed interest in making money at D&D, and I have no idea where I was going with that.
Fucking
But
money.
well, in essence, getting paid to DM or getting paid to be a professional
Uh,
player kind of thing. But
did Erica like pre-warn her that it's not as grandiose
well,
as
that
she thought
it
it would
takes a
be?
lot of work. That's what we were talking about. But
Yeah.
we were talking about selling your stuff, hobby versus not. Oh,
Hobbies are for me.
so like I was thinking about that. Oh, that's what I was going to say. On Sunday, like Erica was telling me, oh yeah, Keith, you could definitely get paid. You could definitely get paid for what you're doing. I'm like, come on, no way. She's like, oh no. She was very emphatic about it. You definitely could. She's like, there's this one guy
She
who
must have been to some horrible tables.
she's like she said there's this one guy who makes tons of money and he doesn't have any of the fancy stuff that like I was making reference to, and yet anyway. So
Dungeon
I was thinking
alchemist.
about this earlier, like if someone
RPGs.
would I at what point does it become saturation, right? Supporting the whole concept of DM burnout, what point does it
Whole
become saturation,
saturation.
becomes too much? And I was thinking, you know I run 3 games now, or like 2.5 a week, try to run 2.5 a week.
Everything.
And then what if someone said, "Oh, Keith, man, we would love for you to run a game for us." I'm going to say no. Like I already got three,
Yeah, me
right?
too. I'm so full. I have three.
Right. But if someone said, "Well, Keith, if you can just come to my wife's birthday party, she would love to
Actually,
play a one shot, and we'll give you $100." Well, okay, yeah, okay, I might be able to do a one shot for that, right?
sell
But
out. At what point do you sell out?
right, at what point do you say, okay, well, I'm saturated and I don't want to give up more of my time from my other interests
Personal
or from
time.
my family or whatever. But hey, if you pay me for it, well, now that's extra money. It's a side hustle. It's a job, right?
Yeah, it's a
That's
side
money for
hustle.
the family, for summer vacation, for
Side
whatever,
cash.
versus me just
Yeah.
playing the game.
Diddling
So
around.
at what point? Now if I was only running one game and someone said, "Hey, come run a run shot for us," Yeah,
You have plenty of time,
I'd
sure.
have my time. I'd toss in my hat and say, sure, let's have at it. But there comes a breaking point, and that's I guess what I'm driving at. The DM burnout is real. There comes a breaking point, and you got to take a break because it gets after a while it gets can be overwhelming.
Can't, well, and not only for yourself, but for those around you.
Correct, correct, and that's
Yeah.
a whole other topic we're starting to talk about here and there
Family burnout.
about family, right? Finding the balance because Erica is does so much. She plays in 4 games a week. She makes all the content that she does. She's writing
Yeah.
modules and
Goes on the
campaigns and
cruises.
stuff, right? And she does
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I was telling the other young lady who
Yeah,
said,
it's
I'm
the
interested in doing
fiance,
this.
right?
I said, yeah, but what you got to remember is, Erica has an
Husband.
extremely supportive husband.
Yeah.
So
He
the
fully
family. So
supports her.
if you're going into this at 1,000 miles an hour, and you are all in and a lot, you're going in deep. You have to have family, spouse, someone around you that's supportive. Unless of
Yeah.
course you're flying solo, but whoever is around you needs to be extremely supportive. Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You know that whole DM burnout, man. It's a real thing. I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
Work family life balance.
It's a real thing. Yep. It's a real thing. So, so even if it's balanced though, even if it's balanced, like I mean, my wife is pretty supportive. She knows Sunday night, every other Sunday is D&D,
Well, and you're
Tuesday's
supportive
D&D.
of her in that she's a travel nurse, you know?
Well,
You're
yeah, but
supportive of each other.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
But it's easy now for her to be supportive because she's not here. So when I play D&D, it's not time. It's not time away from her, right?
That's
Um,
me
but
on Saturdays.
but
Wesley doesn't have off on Saturdays.
but she's coming home here in a few weeks. So but she knows that every other Sunday is D&D. Tuesday is D. Like she knows that, and she respects that.
Yeah.
She knows that's my game
Yeah.
time. But I couldn't push it more than what I have now. Like I said, I couldn't do a fourth game even if I was a player. No,
And
and
my fourth game is also every other week. It's the same. I have the Mark's game, and then I have Peyton and his friends game, and I do those on the same weekend. So I come home
oh,
at 9. Right. So I do Mark's
okay,
campaign from 5 to 9, and then I come home at 9 with Peyton and his friend Evan, and we play together at home. And I bring home food or whatever, and I play from like 9 to like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I have Sunday off, so then I go to sleep. Um, and that's it. That's the big chunk from 5 to 0 o'clock at night. Um, and Wesley's at the house, so he's not super. He doesn't care that I play with Peyton and Evan at home, because I'm home. He
right.
also doesn't care about like Tuesdays because I'm home. I'm just downstairs in the
Yeah, and
other room,
I think that's why it was an easier pill to swallow for Artie's wife because he's home,
Yeah,
you know,
he can
and
hold the baby for a second.
right,
He
right,
can walk away from the
or
computer for
if
a
he's
second.
needed, right, if he's needed, he can step away as opposed to
Mute
being a
the
half hour
microphone and walk
away.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um,
But Wesley gets really mad about Fridays sometimes because it's Friday night. You
yeah,
want to go out to dinner, you want to do whatever. And I'm like, if you want to do that, you just got to let me know a week in advance so that I can tell everybody because I have 9 other people who I'm trying to make a functioning schedule with. I just don't want to tell them all of a sudden, nah, guys, sorry, bye.
yep,
It's kind of, especially since I'm the manager,
mm-hmm,
I'm the boss. I
yep,
don't want to do that.
yep.
That's irresponsible. I don't
And
want
that was the
to
without
shit.
getting too far off track. That was part of the conversation I had with Artie when we were finishing up Saltmarsh, and I said, "Hey, you want a DM?" And he
He
paused and he
was like,
hesitated, and he's like, oh,
oh,
"Okay, yeah, I'll do it." And then I started talking a little bit. I was like, I want to make sure remind you. I want to remind you. I want to make sure that you know, like what's involved, not just the workload, but like the responsibility that you're taking on with that.
yeah,
You know, people are
yeah.
depending on you. You can't just back out. 20 minutes before you're supposed to meet for the game and say, "Oh, sorry guys, I can't make it." Because all those people are counting
Right.
on you, and then you just screw up everyone else's Friday night with 20 minutes notice.
That they planned,
Yeah,
yeah, for 20 minutes
so I was like,
notice.
you
Yeah,
like if you're gonna
shitty.
DM, that's great, and I encourage you to do so, and I'll support you. But if you're gonna do, if you're in, you got to be all in. You can't be kind of
I have a
half-assed
couple
with it.
players who are like 45, 50 minutes away.
Yeah, I think
I have players who are south of the river.
yeah, I remember we talked about that before. Corey being one of them, right?
Yeah, Corey and Tiana. They're both south of the river.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
Drive 40, 45
but
minutes up to
the
Ashland.
so what we're driving at is you got to find that balance. You got to recognize when it's
Yeah, there's
time
always
to take a
balance.
break, right?
Hmm.
Take a break from the game, break up the monotony for your own mental health, for the mental health of those who love you, who are around you, right? I mean,
Enough with your crap.
you gotta sometimes you gotta take a break. I mean, that's why we take vacations, right? We go on
That's right.
vacation to take a break from work, to take a
From
break
work.
from home, to take a break from life. We go, we
Yeah.
get away, we do something different, we escape. Maybe we sit on the beach and read a book for a week. Maybe you go on roller coasters. Whatever you do to break that up and step away. You need to do the same thing with your D&D games. There comes a time where you just gotta say, you know what? I need to take a break. I need to take a vacation from
Yeah.
D&D and take a week off, a
Yeah.
month off. Maybe you need to take a break, a hiatus, and take a year off. Whatever it might be that you need for yourself, for your mental health, for your family, and you do what you got to do. But there does come a time you need to take a break. And as the DM, not only for you, but like Julie said, there's a certain level of responsibility. You're the boss, right? You're the manager as the DM. So
Yeah.
taking that onus, that responsibility of being the DM, you need to read your
The
table,
chief.
right? You need to read your players. As I was talking about reading Julie earlier, you got to get a feel for that. And every group is different. But if you have, for us, we have four players, and if you got one who's completely disengaged, then you only have 3 out of 4 players. All four are showing up, but you only got 3 that are playing, right? So what do you do
No,
about
right.
that as the DM? Do you pull them aside? Do you talk to them? Or do you say, hey, maybe we need to take a little break? Now obviously, if you have 3 out of your 4 who are showing up but not playing, well, that's very obvious, right? But as the DM, you need to read the crowd. You need to read your table. You need to know your players, um, and to determine kind of when it's time to take a break or start raising some questions. You were thinking something?
Oh, I was thinking about taking a break and taking a hiatus and what we were talking about before. I told you that we were gonna do Ebron, and I looked up the release date for Ebron, and it's the 9th, the
the
9th of December.
And you're supposed to play when?
I told them that when it comes out, I get a full month to read it and make a campaign. So we're gonna play January the 9th.
Okay. Okay. So hang on. So you
I just
said
thought I had a little bit longer.
you said you're gonna well, regardless of when it came out. If you said I'm going to take a month to read it, then it doesn't really matter when it comes out. You're going to take a month to read it. Now, does that mean you're going to take a month off from Curse of Strahd?
No, no, no,
So
no.
you're
We're
not
gonna just continue
double
playing Strahd.
prepping?
Well, I guess I'm theoretically double prepping, but I'm only making a little tiny campaign. I'm only making a little baby campaign. I don't think it'll be that bad, especially since I know what they're doing in town. I don't have that much prep for Strahd because I'm not doing any
Right.
combat.
Right. Right. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, unless, everything implodes upon itself and my players make horrible decisions, then
Well, Artie is not there. Artie and Caleb is not there.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Jules murdered a like a NPC. Not a bad guy. Not an NPC that was bad. He just flat out murdered an NPC. The NPC was a little crazy, but he straight up murdered him, and the repercussions have yet to come and bite him in the butt.
I was going to say, is this an alignment issue?
No, because he's like a neutral alignment anyway.
Well, yeah. Just because you're neutral, though, doesn't mean you can't do anything and everything you want without saying, "Oh, that's actually very evil." So maybe you are evil alignment
Right.
versus
I think
neutral.
I think I asked him about it. Hold on, I'm looking. I'm digging. Hold on, I'm digging because I talked to him about it. I said I said, are you true neutral or chaotic neutral? Are you leaning towards lawful neutral? I was talking about alignment because I said the same thing. I was like, well, maybe we change your alignment. And he was like, nah, I think my alignment's, I'm pretty sure. Hold on. asked him at one point in time.
So then that would raise the question for me, as I would raise the question with any DM. How does alignment play into your game? And what I mean by that is if I say I'm chaotic good and I just flat out murdered this guy walking down the street because I was bored and I did it again and we start questioning if I'm really chaotic good or if I'm chaotic evil, right? So
He
and
his character's backstory, theoretically, he like grew up in like an abusive household and he ended up like getting revenge on his family, or at least he thought he did. Like he thought he did something horrible to his family, but he never stayed around to figure out if it worked or not. So I think his alignment is already like true neutral or chaotic neutral. Um and this is the first time he's outright like hostilized. I think he did it for like a revenge for another player. Like, oh, that guy hurt my friend. I'm gonna hurt this guy back because he hurt my friend. Um, and like he claims self defense, but it wasn't. And he'll also say that he'll say like, oh, I'll say it's self defense, but I know it wasn't. So he like plays a little bit of both sides, I guess, to it. But
so continuing though, like how does alignment play in? So if the DM says, "Oh well, you said you're chaotic good, but you behaving in a chaotic evil way, so we're gonna realign you, or you have realigned, and you're now chaotic evil." What does that mean
yeah,
in gameplay? What does that mean? How does that change anything?
your ethical decisions.
Is it because that means that the player completely disregarded alignment and was playing the character as he saw it fit, right? Or how he wanted that character to be. Which means not to say the alignment has no purpose, but that alignment was premature, right? Perhaps. So now the character has now essentially defined their alignment, and this is their alignment. But if it changes midway through, what does that really mean? Are the consequences for that? Probably not, unless the alignment is tied into their class or their race or something. Short of that, there's really no consequence for that. So it's just a realignment, or re-identification. I identify as chaotic evil versus chaotic neutral now because this is the way I'm actually behaving. So then it raises the question: is alignment fluid or is it not? Now, ties into something we talked about
I think
before.
it could change over time. Like, I feel like maybe if someone's alignment shifts like once in a campaign, or like something crazy happens to the character, like someone they watch their friend die and they vow revenge against someone, or like like they turn to the dark side. The bad guy has talked them into their ways of evil, and they succumb to darkness.
Right. Well, I mean,
Like
if
changing
it's
like
if it's
one
if
time
it's an
dramatic
isolated
effect.
incident, good or bad, or if it's an isolated incident contrary to the alignment, then
I found God,
then it's isolated, right? Shit happens sometimes. Good people make bad decisions sometimes. So I'll brush that off. But if it tends to is shifting, the whole behavior is shifting, and our pattern is no longer a pattern. It's what it
no,
is.
right,
That's different. But I still raise
right.
the question about alignment, and we're going to wrap up here a conversation because we're truly shifting conversations now. Um, but what does alignment mean? What do you do with alignment, right? Is it just a tool to help the player role play their character? My alignment, my chosen alignment is XYZ, is chaotic neutral, it's lawful good. So therefore, that kind of guides me as to how to play this character. So if you have players who are good role players, maybe they can choose that during character creation and they're going to play the character that way. If you have players who are not as good at role playing, or new players who have struggle to grasp this concept of alignment, I say don't choose an alignment. Start to play your character. We'll give it a couple months and we'll see kind of really where your behavior, where your values kind of fall. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, Wesley was complaining, so I didn't want that to get caught on camera. Um, he can't find something, so he's a little frustrated. Anyway, I think that really would help a someone who isn't as new to a setting, or new to an edition, or new to a game period, like a newer player. Most newer players just choose lawful good, because not lawful good, lawful neutral, because lawful neutral is like your everyday guy, and you can kind of go a little bit of both ways, but really you're here for yourself and your own safety kind of deal. Um, but like for you to be like, okay, well, you don't know how you're going to play this character, or you think this character is going to get morally ambiguous, to leave it blank for a couple sessions and see how you act, and then we can make a decision in private or in person later is definitely a that's a good tool to have, especially if you have like a wiggly woggly character. You're more uh crazy or chaotic characters,
So, and that might be a good
players
conversation.
characters.
I was gonna say maybe it'd be a good conversation to share with Erica, but she does all one shot, so alignment's not
She
as
doesn't
big
really
of an
care about
issue.
long term
Yeah, it's
alignment.
not a long
No,
term thing.
no.
It's not as impactful in the game. And again, I think alignment can be impactful, but more than anything, it's a trait or a characteristic, a descriptor of the character to guide the player on how to play that character. And that's what I want to finish on that aspect because we're at an hour. We're at a good mark here to wrap up our conversation about what to do with long campaigns and how to
Spinny,
recognize
spinny,
when it's
spinny.
time to take a break. All right, Julie, final word on long campaigns, when to take a break, why to take a break, how to recognize it. Ready? Last word.
Oh, so I think I think that long campaigns are really cool. I think that people playing those 12-year campaigns or those 8-year campaigns are definitely not doing it marathon mode, where they're playing it every single day or every single week or whatever for years and years and years. They're not. Life happens, crap happens, you're going to have to take that break. And whether that's a break from the campaign and you play a silly, goofy, silly boy one shot, or it's the opposite and you play like a more serious one shot because you're playing a silly, goofy, goober campaign, is definitely a thing to keep everybody refreshed and ready to go for the main campaign. Even if it's taking a full blown break, a let go, you know, on vacation, or let go just hang out at home and not do anything with our time and spend time with family and friends, away from Dungeons and Dragons because we all know we're obsessed with it. It's definitely a thing as well. Noticing when your players are becoming distant or distracted is definitely also a good indicator. Or just excitement for something new and different, that drive to be adventurous. And that's definitely something to nurture in nature and to make sure that your party doesn't burn out because then you're going to lose your party. Or your DM, you're going to lose them too.
All right, and on that note, we will wrap it up here on our conversation about long campaigns, taking breaks, DM burnout, and so on. So, you all have a good night, and we'll see you in a week or two. Peace out.